The first Omen. The first Omen review. Spoiler review. Well, in just a few seconds, guys. I'll get set up here. Arglass Vikings in the live chat says 667. Neighbor of the Beast. Yeah, hey guys. This is my spoiler. Well, I'm going to do my formal review for both the first Omen and Monkey Man today, all in this little video. And we are going to be also talking a little bit of movie news. So my separate reviews will be cut out and put up on the channel later on separately. I'll redo the thumbnail for this one. Because tomorrow there's going to be no live show. Because this is my schedule. So Tuesday we'll be back with some movie news stuff, and then Tuesday we'll have Reacher, and Wednesday we'll have Reacher. Thursday I'm going into Toronto, so I'm not going to be here either on Thursday because I'm going to see My Girl's Curl. If you don't know anything about that, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about here. Princess Auto Players Championship. Yes. So I got my tickets. And I'm going to see, yep, there they are right there. I'm going to go see Jennifer Jones and Rachel Homan face off with each other because this is the end of Jennifer Jones' great career. This is the final official match that she's going to play, and then she's retiring. So she's a great career, and it's on my bucket list to see her play. She's my favorite Olympian, I would have to say, because she won gold at the Olympics. Rachel Homan has tried, and she's on fire. I expect Rachel Homan to probably win this tournament again because her team is firing on all cylinders. Two of my favorite Olympians, two of my favorite athletes, right there. Do I like them even more than, say, Blue Jays baseball? It's possible. But yeah, Rachel Homan represents Team Ontario. Jones is from Manitoba. And of course, then you got the Swedish teams, Hasselborg. So you guys don't really care about all this stuff. This is more just my passion stuff. And I'm going to go see them play. It's going to be like a highlight of my life, I think, because uh, Jennifer Jones is the entire reason why I started to watch female curling in the first place. And Rachel Homan, she's just been dominating. So I like her team as well. Emma Miskew is powerful as like the second, and yeah, I can't wait to see them match up on Thursday. It's not the finals or anything like that, but I just wanted to. I looked at the schedule, and that's when I want to go. So that's what I'm going to be seeing it on Thursday, which kind of will postpone our plans to binge watch Fallout on Thursday. So, but we are going to watch it. We are going to binge Fallout. But because of my Thursday uh, adventure, uh, it pushes also the fact that I won't be able to see um, Civil War until Friday afternoon. So I won't be seeing Civil War. What will happen is probably we'll watch like maybe one or two episodes Friday morning of Fallout. I'll go see Civil War. We'll come back. I'll try to do some at night. If not, and then we'll just burn through it on the weekend. We'll burn all through Fallout on the weekend. We'll be finishing Reacher throughout this week, season 1 of Reacher. So just to let you know what the schedule is going to be kind of like for me this week. But hey, those are the punches, and we got to roll with them sometimes. Okay. Let's get into it. This is going to be a bit of a dicey situation for me because I'm in the minority here. I am so in the minority for the first Omen, and I'm kind of shocked, actually, to tell you the truth. Um, I thought that because a lot of people seem to be, well, actually, maybe we should be. I'll start off the review and then we'll get into it. Um, and I'll start off with my normal review first, and then I'll go into spoilers. So we'll do it that way. Okay. All right. As Bifer would say, lots of high energy. The first Omen is in theaters right now, and this is my formal review, full review, and then I'll talk some spoilers towards the end. Is it a good movie? No, it's for me it's not. And in fact, I am in the minority of this movie, the first Omen. A lot of people seem to be liking it, and from people that I didn't expect, because I thought some critics out there could look at story structure and pacing that seem to be thrown out the window from the criticisms that I've seen of the first Omen, a prequel to the first Omen, the Omen 1960s, right? So the synopsis reads, a young woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. Now we know that, yes, this is, well, the prequel, right? So what do you think is going to happen? If you know the first Omen, then you know, hey, this is not a spoiler that Damien is in the first Omen. So if this is a prequel, if you put two and two together, you kind of figure out where this is going. I've published a few shorts about this. It actually does sort of a decent job of leading into that first movie from 1960 or 1976. Sorry, it does a fairly decent job at doing that. I'll concede that, from Richard Donner, Gregory Peck, and Harvey Stevens starred in that one. Right? No, David Warner was in that. I need to revisit this one. I know that this one was a little bit more religious, like they pulled from like scripture and stuff like that. And the first Omen doesn't seem to do that. It just kind of shows you, well, her story. The main nun here, played by Nell Tiger Free, Margaret, coming to Rome to start a new, take her vows and stuff and become like a full nun. And then, of course, she uncovers this conspiracy of what's going on. Are they trying to create the Antichrist? Well, if you know the concept of the Omen, that's pretty much what they're trying to do. And all of that stuff is fascinating. It's interesting. I'll concede that. That's where the movie is really interesting. The problem is that it takes about an hour to get to that stuff. And I've said that countless times in all my little shorts over the weekend. So I'm pulling my hair out here when I hear like other critics saying like this is the best horror of the year. Or what are you talking about? Have you not? Did you? Do you not understand pacing? Do you not understand story structure and setup and payoff? This doesn't. This thing sets things up that slightly gets paid off towards the end, and then it does leave a few loose ends. And it does it in such a way where, okay, we're going to these nightclubs in the beginning. She questions her faith because she wants to go out partying. Okay, fine. Show that she's, maybe not fully invested in it, but it doesn't take 40 minutes to establish that to us as the audience. You see, I'm getting a little bit hot about this now. Because when you come out and say that this is one of the better horror movies of the year, I'm like, did we watch the same movie? Did we watch the same movie? Obviously, we didn't. So my frustrations, as you can see with this, are a little bit high. Like, is it a terrible movie, James? Is it something that you would not sit down and watch again? No, this is not one of the worst movies of the year. It's not. It's just not very good. It's kind of like, well, I'll tell you, I think I like the Pope's Exorcist better than the first Omen. James, you just weren't paying attention. It just didn't work because you didn't like the way that they were setting things up. Hey, as I said, I have no problem with, taking little side pauses to establish mood and tone. But why does it have to take 45 minutes to 50 minutes for us to do that before you actually get to the part of the story where we want to actually see what the heck is going on? And then you show, yeah, there's some disturbing stuff about the birthing, and metaphorically and not. I'll grant you that. As I said, it's not a terrible movie, but it's not also one of the greater movies. It's not one of the better horror movies that I've seen this year. Um, Let me pull up my little list here and see what other movies I got here listed. Night Swim was terrible. Yeah. What else we got? Lisa Frankenstein was awful. That's the worst one of the year. Lisa Frankenstein is the worst horror movie of the year. Imaginary wasn't all that good. I liked Immaculate, and a lot of people are going to be comparing this to Immaculate, and justly so, because it's about a nun that goes to take her vows and become part of the church, and then there's something a little bit more sinister going on in the background. Um, kind of like, are they trying to create the Antichrist here, or what the heck's going on? So, and this movie, Immaculate, actually does a better job of kind of like uh, dealing with the religious side. They don't mind pulling up the scripture. And what I found more believable about Immaculate was that Sydney Sweeney's character questions, well, gets put in a position where her faith is tested, and her faith wins. So I'm kind of like, I liked her responses to the questions of like, wait a minute, is the church really involved in this? What's going on? That's okay. But that's not how God would respond. That's not how Jesus would respond. And she calls it out in Immaculate. So it's kind of frustrating for me that Nell Tiger Free doesn't question it when it actually happens. It's kind of like, oh no, uh, I think I'm doing a good thing here. But it's kind of like, it doesn't go back to the faith. It just goes to normal human responses of, okay, is this a good thing or a bad thing based on just simple morals? It doesn't really have that much to do with her faith. Uh, okay, I'm going to try to calm down here just a little bit. Because as I said, there are some good things in here. Her acting, Nell Tiger Free's acting is good. Ralph Ineson's acting is good. But there's certain things in here that just don't land. And it's just small things like you wouldn't realize that, well, if somebody's holding on to you like this, you can't pick them up and just go like this and have them be light as a feather. It's little logical inconsistencies like that okay, it happens one time and you're like, all right, I'll give it a pass because I kind of like and enjoy the mood and setup of what they're trying to do here, and it'll get better, right? They won't do anything like that again. And lo and behold, literally, as I said, how the heck can, like, physically, the laws of physics, how can that happen? And why aren't you questioning that would happen? Because it has nothing to do with the devil. It has nothing to do with supernatural powers. It's just normal physical kind of stuff, human on human interaction that I'm talking about here. So when somebody comes out and says that this is one of the most better horror movies of the year, well, I guess technically because of what we've had so far this year in the realms of horror, perhaps it's in the top 3. Granted. Okay. There is an issue I want to quickly address before we go into some other things here too. Before I go into it. Because I've talked about this in my shorts review, and this is something I alluded to in my straight out of the theater reaction, is we're going to get this out of the way. There's a movie in 1981 called Possession. Isabel Adjani does this tremendous performance of like screaming and gyrating, and you don't know what the heck she's doing. She just screams and screams and screams, and you can tell that the first Omen is heavily inspired by it, and that's fine. Paying homage is fine, except for the fact that when it almost copies it exactly to the point where maybe I can't show some of the stuff here, but kind of like copies. It's kind of like, that's not homage anymore. You're just ripping it off. sorry, I guess that goes into a little bit of spoiler kind of stuff. Uh, let's go over to my preliminary score sheet and try to figure out where I'm going to score this movie, The First Omen. Because, as I said, the acting is actually fairly decent. Now, is it award worthy? No. Acting, directing, story out of a possible 2 points each, cinematography and score out of a possible 1 point. But because of Nell Tiger Free, it's good acting. Uh, because of Ralph Innocent, um, I'll say the acting and even Charles Dance comes in to help set this up with an interesting opening scene. So I'll give the acting the full credit as it is due. But this movie's too long. It's 2 hours, and it's got some story issues. It has some, as I said, that interesting premise. So of kind of like who really is the bad guy here? Obviously, we know it's going towards Damien, but it's an interesting idea that there's some evil forces within the church that are maybe driving it towards that. So that's all interesting. Directing, I'm going to give one as well here because it fails in the execution of that story. It needed to be tighter. You needed to heavily edit the first 40 minutes of this film down to about 20 minutes because a lot of it could be established like that and it would have happened a lot tighter. And if that had happened, perhaps I would be on the other side of this where with everybody else saying that this is maybe one of the better films, horror films of the years thus far. Cinematography, serviceable. Score, it's not as good as the original 1970s version of the Omen. It serves its purpose, so it's middle of the road right there. So that's where I'm sitting right now before we go into the watchability factor. 4.5. As you can see, it's not going to be one of the worst. But let's go over to the tomato meter and see what people are saying here. 78 by the critics, 64 by the audience, and I'm a little bit perplexed because movie critics watch way more movies than what we do as casual fans. So they get to see all the other movies, other horror genres, like the people that go out and see things like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Like, I haven't even seen it yet, kind of thing, right? Late Night with the Devil kind of thing. I haven't seen that yet because it just hasn't been playing around. I want to see it, which I hear Late Night with the Devil is truly one of the better horror movies of the year. Let's go down to the snapshot reviews and see what people are saying. See if we agree with them. LA Times. If you ever wanted to spoil an Omen with an Omen beforehand, it should get you converted for a couple of hours. I don't see. No, that's completely meaningless. So Richard Roper here, directed with an intense fever dream style by Akasha Stevenson, featuring an electric performance by Nell Tiger Free, and stellar work by supporting cast led by Sonia Braga and Bill Nye. What's he doing in this movie? I'm the father of this big, huge. Let me smile as again. It just like. Did we watch the same movie? I'm just. As you can see, I'm frustrated here. Schwartz movie reviews. Unneeded third Omen movie. Well, it's not the third, actually. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's a poll up. There was some Omen movies where even I forgot that they had made them. Why is that jumping to the top? Other people. The first Omen fails to deliver scares and shocks without purpose. And though laughable, it is not the kind of revisit. Yeah. I said that out of my theater reaction. They show a creature, and it's kind of like guys, what? Like what? Hi. And let me guess. Matt Donato loves it. Probably thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread, probably. Um, and And you know that Donato's seen a lot of these horror movies, so how is it possible? How would that be possible? And I know he's got to be in here somewhere. I should have pulled it earlier. If we don't get to see him, I want to know what Perry Nemiroff thinks too, because I mean, I can't like as you can see, I'm really, really on the minority side of this. So even people who say that it's not scary seem to be giving it a positive review, and I don't know why. The first Omen isn't quite as scary as it thinks it is. So then why do you give it a good review? But it is effective in its exploration of body horror and the anguish of abuse. I don't know, man. Okay, see, Donato, I knew that he would like it. Nobody could predict that a theatrical Omen prequel would go this hard. Guys, if showing human genitalia is going hard, that's enough to overrule story structure and pacing problems for you. I don't like, how is this possible that we watched the same movie and like, God's sakes, it's, all right, James, calm down, calm down, calm down. It's not the end of the world. Bibiani, there we go. Maybe he'll see it as it is. The new movie's twists can only exist if they don't contradict the previous films. So only a few surprises are even possible, and those can only happen in unsurprising ways. So, Bibiani, that's not quite as articulate as you think that it should be. I don't think we're going to have Perry on here. She doesn't always publish her reviews, and maybe because she didn't like it as much as the other people. But yeah, guys, as you can see, I'm just kind of like, hey, pulling my hair out. All right, let's finish up my score sheet here, and we'll address all the other Omen movies here. Um, because I think I covered pretty much everything before without going into spoilers, and we'll go well going on to heavy spoilers. Watchability factor. I'll grant you this: it's worthwhile seeing if you're curious about the Omen, if you like the trailers. Just know if you are um, new to horror, you haven't watched a whole lot of horror movies, then yes, perhaps there's some value in this. I can understand that if that's where you're coming from. But like people like Stuckman and Jeremy Johns, like you guys seen lots of horror movies. You know that, well, actually Stuckman doesn't review movies anymore, so it's kind of like his observations have just been kind of like sadly irrelevant, and that sucks. It sucks because I liked his thoughts on movies. He only shares thoughts on movies if he likes them, and it's kind of like 5.5 for The Omen. As I said, it's not the best movie of the year. It's not the worst movie of the year. There's some interesting ideas in there. So 5.5 out of 10 for the first Omen from me. And I think that's where I'm probably going to land, right? Yeah. 5.5 for the first Omen. Okay. Pretty intense there, guys. It's just I wasn't expecting that I would be completely in the minority in this, because as I said, I thought people out there would be able to diagnose pacing and story structure. um I too many times in the first 45, 50 minutes, I'm looking at my watch, I'm looking at my phone. um I'm kind of like, hey guys, get on with it. Where are we going with this? And that's what tainted my experience for the first Omen. 5.5. So, some spoilers. This is where the spoilers start, guys. Charles Dance is only in it for the first part of the film, first scene, basically. I was kind of like shocked to see him in there. Uh, but yeah. And that does, normally that stuff doesn't bother me. Okay, fine. You bring in a big ringer to set the mood and tone. Fine. But then the story just kind of meanders. And what I mean by that, okay, she comes to Rome to take her vows. We know this. Then why does it take us an hour to get to the point where she starts to think that something weird's going on, right? Um, do we think that Bill Nye's dirty on this? Probably. There's a weird side story that happens with this other girl that we suspect is the first Omen. And as we find out later on, as I said, this girl, as we find out later on, she's just one of the candidates because the church, there's like, as Ralph Ineson's character explains to us, there's two churches. There's a regime within the church that are trying to create the Antichrist so that people will start believing in the church again. And if you are a religious person, then this stuff will probably get under your skin a little bit because it's like a church within the church that are think that they're doing good, but they're bad. Like that stuff is fascinating, but that stuff doesn't come to light until much later on. Like as I said, after the first hour. This is the shocking scene right here, um, where she's giving birth, and you don't know if she's giving birth to one of the specimens. I think it's hinted that she is, because they're basically using DNA or whatever to try to resurrect the Antichrist, impregnating these people, and then having the kids grow up to make Damien, right? And this is in this scene you see this demon hand come through her lady parts. Um, if it was like a normal hand, I think that would have been a little bit more scary for me, or at least creepier than this uh, green thing with fingernails. As I said, it goes to the creature that we see at the end. That's kind of like this weird dog thing that that made me laugh. I laughed out loud in the theater when I saw the weird dog creature, because it's kind of like, again, that's not what the uh, that's not what the devil would look like or any kind of demon. James, how would you know? Do you know everything about demons and what the devil would do? Not if you know anything a little thing about demonology, an outcast of it maybe. Um, but you're saying that it's going to be like the Antichrist. There's an interesting idea there, but it just doesn't unfold because you go with this other nun. She's going out partying, getting drunk, and being promiscuous, and we spend time with them. So it's kind of like, uh, yeah. Um, okay, so let's go to the reveal of her. Um, Basically, these are two of the prototypes that are two females that were bred for the purpose of making Damien, the Antichrist. She thinks that she's just a normal girl there that's got like some mental problems up here. So she thinks that she's trying to save her by like, befriending her and trying to, give her advice and stuff. But then the big reveal is that, oh no, she also is a vessel to be used. Um, uh, that sort of worked. It did. Um, in the execution of it. But they don't go into a lot of explaining exactly how and why. It's kind of left a little bit to the background, uh, left to dialogue and exposition. A lot of it given by Ralph there, uh, and he does a good job at doing it. But it's kind of like I want to see like that. What you're describing, it's kind of like Luke Skywalker in the prequels of him creating the Jedi Temple. You're describing it to us. That's the more interesting part of the story that you should have been showing us in the first act, right? Anyway, um, so the big reveal at the end is that two is that yeah, she gives birth to two children. One of them is Damien, because they need to have a male for the Antichrist, um, and it leaves the door open for there to be a possibility that there could be, well, a sister out there to Damien. which I don't think was ever addressed in the first, like in the 1976 version of the Omen. That there could have been a sister there. Um, I'll stand by my statement that it was a valiant attempt. There was some great opportunity there, but it felt like they missed, for me at least. Let's take some live comments here. Um, okay, so let me just scroll over and take a look at what people are saying in the live chat. Arglass says, wasn't the prophecy of the Omen the child will be born from a jackal, then swapped into a wealthy household? Is this referenced in the movie? No, it's, or maybe that's where the dog thing comes at the end, but it's not like a jackal if it's like 6 feet tall with huge long legs. Creature design. They needed to revise their creature design. Biter says Imaginary was terrible. Yeah, again, with Imaginary, at least between this and Imaginary, they had some really good ideas. Like the premise of what they were trying to do was good. It was solid. It was just on solid grounds. It was just in the execution of it. It didn't land. Arglass says weirdly, Chris Stuckman liked Lisa Frankenstein. Probably. Well, you know why? Probably because he only got an interview with the director. So if you get an interview with the director, I like your movie, man. Anyway, Arglass says, but James Nuns weigh $1.50. Everyone knows that. No, it wasn't. Okay, yeah, let's talk about that scene. No, it's her that lifts this body. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, it's her. There's a scene where the supposed father of Damien gets rammed by a truck, and just like a scene out of uh, Signs, M. Night Shyamalan Signs, like you know how the mother dies in that. It's exactly like that. Um, but I want to show you. This is only 20 pounds. Okay. This is not half of a human body. Um, they're holding each other like this. Um, she just picks it up like this and goes, "What are you guys looking at? Oh no!" And then she looks down and realizes it's only half the body. You're still holding up like this is only 20 pounds. Um, she's still holding up a. The guy must have been at least maybe 190, 200 pounds. You're still holding up 100 pounds, so you'd be like this. It's like the laws of physics again. And as I said, if it only happened the one time, then perhaps I could forgive it. But it's kind of like roll with it kind of thing. Okay, fine. I like these other parts about the film, so I'll forgive that. But logical things like that just are kind of like peppered throughout the film. That it mars the experience. Um, yeah, like you can see, like you just got hit by a car. You're just going to get up and walk. No, you're not. Um, and if Ralph Ineson's character has been kind of ostracized, then nobody of the church would allow him to come in and talk to people, right? And they sort of address that, but then it gets swept underneath the rug and never talked about ever again. And it sucks because he did do a decent performance, and I said that he did. Um, Bifer says possession was banned for 30 years for violence and horror. Well, yeah, um, because and yeah. So she does the full vibe, like the body convulsing, screaming scene, just like in possession. But the thing is that okay, I see that it's an homage. I see what you're trying to do. In Immaculate, when she screams, at least, yeah, the screaming goes on for a long time, and you're holding on her for a long time. But it's different. It's different enough where, yeah, it's an homage. Uh, First Omen, blame. It's like she's practically almost doing the same kind of thrusting motions. uh, But James, a human body can only be thrust a certain amount of ways. So what do you expect? But what made possession so disturbing, like this scene, is that it just starts off kind of normal and goes on and on and on and on. And it's like, okay, she's losing it. Wow, she's really going on. This actress is really giving it her all. And I can understand that when an actress like Isabel gives us a performance like that, that it's totally something that inspires people to make their own films off of. But it's pretty much the exact same scene, just copied and pasted into the first Omen. So for me, I have to cry a little bit foul about it because I I like Possession. It's a jarring film. It doesn't hold any of its punches back. Uh, Arglass says there. The plot for the first Omen seems to contradict the Omen. The original trilogy referenced the Bible and the coming of the Antichrist. Yeah, the weird dog thing probably is reference to the Antichrist being born of a jackal. Maybe. And as I said, maybe if it resembled a little bit more of a jackal, then I would have clued in. But it was kind of like this weird, like you could almost. It felt like you could see like the the puppet strings on it, kind of thing. Like the guy, the special effects guy, kind of going like, like that. Like that's. Uh, I was like, okay, there it is. And it lingered on it for too long. It did. Some of these lower budget horror movies seem to do a good job of recognizing that okay, this is not a very good visual effect. We're going to shoot around this in quick cuts in darkness, but and that should be it will take off the pressure of it being like fully realized kind of thing. It'll leave it to people to have it up here more than actually on screen, and it just I, I, all right, guys. I think I've said my piece about the first Omen. I know that I am in the minority on this. I know that some people out there will think that it's better than Immaculate, which I don't understand how you can possibly think that. Um, I even preferred the Pope's Exorcist over this. Both with Ralph Ineson, obviously. But this is not the first Omen movie. Joe Blow has a poll up. What's the best Omen movie? And oddly enough, there's Sam Neill in Possession. Possession is not an Omen movie. It's not. Possession's more about infidelity and how infidelity is kind of like a demon of this toxic relationship between Sam Neill and Isabel Adjaniani, right? So it's kind of like, I thought it was much better. So I do remember, I think, Damien Omen 2, but I don't remember, I definitely don't remember Omen 3, The Final Conflict, and Omen 4, The Awakening. I do remember the soft reboot of it with, who was in that? Um, Julia Stiles was in that version, right? Um, I do remember that version. Uh, and then, of course, the first Omen. You, guys, you got to go with the original, right? And as much as I like Julia Stiles, she's not enough to overrule that. Omen for the Awakening, I don't even remember that one existed. So the first Omen comes in third place there, guys. Poll. What do you guys think? Am I being harsh? Yes, I am. But I got to say my piece because I know movies. I know horror movies. I know story structure. And I can understand when a movie has good story structure or things about it that people will like that I don't like. I'll at least concede that it's got, you know, qualities about it, but it's like it's a weird thing where I'm seeing all of these well-established like people saying that this is good filmmaking, and it's just middle of the road, guys. It's middle tier. I'm very passionate about horror. I love horror. It's my favorite genre. This weekend, I put a poll up on the community tab because I want to know how many people out there know me. The first Omen and Monkey Man came out, and I said, which one do you think I'm going to watch first? I had the chance on Thursday late night to go see the Monkey Man first, but I was like, no, I'm going to wait and I'm going to go see First Omen first because that's my bag. I love horror, and it was a letdown. Um, maybe I'm being harsh on it. Maybe I'll revisit it again in the future and say, all right, I'll soften to it. That kind of thing has happened before. Uh, I know that when I first reviewed Alien Covenant, I was extremely harsh on it. I hated it. I loathed it. I came out of the theater as angry as I am now. In fact, I was even probably more harsh on it, and I've softened to it. Um, so it can happen. Can happen. It's just I don't know if it's going to happen for the first Omen. Um, Box office wise, it this is the opening weekend. It's done 17.4 worldwide on a budget of around 30 million. Horror will have a little bit of staying power because this coming weekend we've got Civil War coming out. It'll inch across the break even line. I just I don't think you'd have to go beyond Damien's movies and explore what happens with that sister, right? What again? The devil or demons? They don't care about gender. They don't. And there's an interesting idea in there that if you go with the sister also being as evil, there's something that you could do with that, right? Just I don't know. Maybe it was the director. Maybe it was the director that just didn't execute this best way. Um, what else has this person done? Brand new cherry flavor. Eek, I didn't like that. Briar Patch. So they've done abstract stuff, like brand new cherry flavor is very abstract. A lot of TV stuff. So this is like what the first big movie um, for them. I'm kind of like, uh, you're going to get another project, and hopefully you can hone and develop those skills. That's what I say. All right, that's the first Omen. So we'll cut that and put it up on the channel later. The possession scene looks like a Billie Eilish video. Again, as I said, there's lots of movies that draw inspiration from that, just that sequence alone, because of what she does as an actress. She goes for it, and in the first minute or so of her going for it, you're like, okay, oh, this is weird, and it just goes on, and it just goes on and on and on, and you're like, they filmed this all in they did this all in one take, didn't they? Oh my god, this actress is just wow. So yeah, it inspires. It inspired a lot of people um, beyond the realm of horror. Obviously, with if Billie Eilish sort of emulated it. So let's let me collect myself here. I am going to review Monkey Man here. So I am going to do my review for Monkey Man, but I gotta reset here. I kind of want to just cleanse my palate a little bit. So if you guys like my reaction, you want to hear my review for Monkey Man, um, click the video up in the cards here and come join us here on Mirror Domains because as you can see, we talk about movies and I'm passionate about movies. I love movies. And I'm starting to get a little bit hoarse here. It is what it is. All right. All right, throw that in there. And let me reset some of my graphics here because I'm going to have to reset my movie review page here. Um, one day I'm going to do like a video of how I do all of this because this is on an Excel spreadsheet. And it's tied in with OBS. I'm using different scenes and stuff to marry all of this together. Did I mess that up a little bit? Yeah, there we go. And it's just an interesting thing for you guys, maybe, and for maybe other YouTubers to figure out what that is. Monkey Man, out of the two guys, Monkey Man is a better film, but it has its faults too. It does. We'll get to it. We'll get in there. Maybe we can do a quick little side story here, James. Yeah, let's do that. Let's while we're on the realm of horror movies here. Um, we can do a quick little side story of something just to wash the omen out of our mouths. Okay, that's working properly. The first, Abigail. First reactions are in. This is from Team Radio Silence, the guys who did Scream 5 and 6. And it doesn't come out this week here in Canada. It comes out in 2 weeks from now. And the trailers have been playing all over everything. I gotta say, it looks like it's riding the line of cheese, of schlocky cheese, which is not a bad thing, because if it's executed well, uh, it can that kind of chalky or schlocky cheese can work under the right conditions. I think Sam Raimi is a master of that. One of my favorite horrors is Evil Dead 2, and that's chock full of just zany kind of like, that's ridiculous, that's hilarious, I love it. Yeah, yeah. So Abigail, I think, based on what I've seen in the trailers, dialogue wise, it's running that fine line of cheese, and it's going to rely heavily on the actors to execute the cheesy dialogue that I see cut into the trailers for it. So basically, Abigail, if you don't know what it is, I knew this before. Sorry, I don't mean to boast. I don't mean that as a boast. It had come out that it was going to be a vampire story, and people were like, "Well, is it going to be Wolfman? Is it going to be creature from the Black Lagoon kind of thing?" Because the team of Radio Silence had come out and said that they were going to do an homage to a classic horror trope, right? And I don't know if it's going to be exactly Dracula's daughter, but it looks like it's going to be a vampire, very much kind of like a mix between let the right one in and Ready or Not. That's what I'm thinking. Um, if you don't know what those are, let me see if I can pull up Ready or Not. That's the one with Samara Weaving that came out in 2019. That again, I was a little bit harsh on because we've seen this kind of premise before of uh, people getting invited to, well, a wedding in this case, but in like invited to like a dinner party, and then they all get massacred. So it's like Abigail is a little bit like that in that aspect, but it's like a bunch of people get invited to the house to get eaten by a little vampire girl. Based on the Swedish film and the North American version, with Chloe Grace Moretz was in the American version, right? Um, I like both versions, but yeah, put the right one in. Where's it Spanish? Maybe it was Spanish. I was thinking Swedish at first, but maybe it was Spanish. Um, Again, dealing with a vampire kind of thing, and having like a well, in case of that one, actually, I won't spoil that for you, but a caretaker feeding them, right? So it's kind of like a mix up of that. I'm looking forward to it, and it's a good thing that first reactions are praising it. That it's bloody and it's fun, and it's got a lot of throwback vibes. Again, hopefully, those homages are not blatant ripoffs. But Perry, there she is, posted her review up on her YouTube page. So let's see what her social media response is. Abigail is my kind of movie, and in general, more and more uh, convinced Radio Silence's horror sensibilities heavily align with my own with each and every movie they make. It's a blood-soaked, bonkers good time, a clever spin on vampireville genre filled with loads of wild set pieces. Abigail, do I need to save this for my files? Because that's an Abigail banner. Because it will be on my April's C list. So when I publish my best and worst of April, I'll use that. Why is my voice going? I better not be getting sick again, guys. Not this week. Please, not this week. I can't handle getting sick again. Uh, there's no formal score up yet. There's 2 reviews in. The review embargo is probably not down yet. But yeah, it looks like it has potential. And if Harry is entrusting, then, well, she's got a soft spot for Team Radio Silence, so it's kind of like maybe we have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, or you know, reserve judgment until we see it ourselves, kind of thing. But that's a good thing. All right, let's get back into the movie reviews. This will be cut out and put up on the channel later. I'm not going to go on as long as I was for First Omen. Monkey Man. Whoops. Monkey Man is in theaters right now, and it's a good movie, man. Directed by Dev Patel, starring Dev Patel. The trailers made it look like it was going to be sort of like, well, uh, John Wick. They say John Wick from India in this because he fights in a suit in the trailers, I guess. And people just kind of like, well, that looks a little bit like John Wick. He knows how to fight, and he takes out bad guys. Its first hour is really, really well paced. They establish who he is and what he wants very well. And then about halfway through, it transforms into a different film, and that may not work for some people. I didn't say this in my straight out of the theater reaction, but it's a surprisingly spiritual film, which I admired. Let's go over to the IMDb and I'll read you the synopsis. An anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continued to systematically victimize the poor and powerless. Dev Patel, as his first directing gig, I thought did a fairly decent job. Produced by Jordan Peele, right? Peter Bash, Vipin Sharma does a really good job in this. He appears about after that halfway mark. Rana is the bad guy. Yeah, he's like the big bad guy, henchman kind of thing. Sikander Kerr. He does a good job too. Fairly menacing. And he does a lot of action scenes too. I'm sorry if I'm butchering their names. Ashwini Kaleskar is Queenie Kapoor. When I first heard it, I was like, Kareena Kapoor. No, Queenie Kapoor. Huh? Anyway, it was fun, the first hour. It was cool to see Sharlto Copley back on the big screen. I haven't seen him in, when was the last time? Elysium? Old Boy? No, he's made smaller projects. He's a good actor. Really good actor. He just plays kind of like this ring announcer who does this underground kind of boxing arena kind of thing. And when he has to ham it up, he hams it up. And he does a good job. I dug it. And I like the relationship between Peter Bash and Dev Patel's character, who I can't tell you his name. Kid. Because I don't think they ever say his name. He just goes and does things. He's consumed with the people responsible for killing his mother. And he just wants vengeance. And when that part of the story drives you, you're totally on board with it. And as I said, there's going to be people that will not like that transition from that story of vengeance to the part where he kind of has to recuperate, and you learn a little bit more about the spiritual side of things, about like where he's coming from and stuff, because he goes and tries to complete his mission, but he hesitates, and that costs him. And it goes into this kind of side story. We learn more about the relationship with the mother and trees and roots, and I liked all of that stuff. That kept me on board with it. But for some people, they'll be saying stuff like, "Well, that totally derailed the movie for me. We could have cut all that stuff out and just kept the action and kept the gore. Get more Sholto up there." Of course, he does come back in the end, and it goes about the way that you would think in a very John Wickian style. And all of it was filmed, I think, for the most part, fairly well. It does get into a little bit too much of that shaky camera stuff for me, a little bit on the touch, too much on that aspect. But overall, I thought it was a fairly solid outing. For Dev Patel. Let's go over to my score sheet and start filling in some numbers for Monkey Man. Acting, directing, and story out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score out of a possible 1 point. Acting overall. Now, there's no Academy Award winning performance in here. But not 13. Oh, mercy. 1.5 for acting. Because Dev Patel. And then, of course, as I said, that kind of sage type character that comes in later on halfway through, who kind of like guides him spiritually. Why are you doing this? What are you doing this for? Kind of thing. I liked all of that stuff. And the performance from, was it Varman? He did a good job. Directing, as a first outing, there's a fairly decent attempt. And what I liked about it was because it seemed like he was a little bit, not hamstrung, but handcuffed by the budget of this movie, which was only around 10 million or so. And what they were able to achieve, I thought, was fairly good. I liked the story. I'm going to actually give the story a 1.5. Oops. Because I feel that it warrants it. And I may want to go back and revisit the directing. I may boost up the directing. Cinematography, it's a bit dark at times at night. But I actually am going to give cinematography a full point. Because aside from the shaky cam stuff, as I said, it's not as grotesque as, say, like the later Bourne, like Bourne Legacy. It's just, it's not like that. But you can tell that was heavily inspired by it. It's watchable, right? So where we're sitting, 5.5. Now, you know what? I am going to give directing the full 1.5. And it's nothing Oscar worthy, right? But we're getting up there, 6 out of 10 thus far for Monkey Man. Let's go over to the tomato meter and see what people are saying about it. See if we can kind of agree with some of the snapshot reviews. 87 by critics, 83 by the audience. So we're on pace here to all be like in a consensus here, all around, which is good. Let's see what people are saying. Richard Roper. Dev Patel comes out swinging in the monumentally entertaining and bare-knuckled revenge flick, and it has some good comedy, guys, mostly from Peter Bash. You kind of think that he's a real butthead in the beginning, kind of like the Biff Tannen of the Monkey Man universe, right there, this guy. But then you're kind of like, you like him towards the end, because he gets, well, something happens to him. He gets put in a situation where it's kind of like he's either going to be the full bad guy, or you're starting to almost like sympathize with his situation. Which is, that's a testament to the directing and the execution of that part of the story from Dev Patel. Vipin Sharma, sorry, not Vipin Sharma is the sage type character. When that whole part of the story, he gets fished out of a river and kind of nursed back to health. I like that part. Because there was a gentleness to the way that he was talking about. Should we see it? Find a sugary or caffeinated beverage, pour it into a sippy cup, and let a toddler drink it down. What? What kind of a review is that? Oh, mercy. Monkey Man is a thrilling over-the-top action flick catapulting Patel into a new genre and a lane for his cinematic legacy moving forward. Yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff here that he can build on, and it makes me feel good. But yeah, he understands the craft. Well, he understands acting, but he also understands like the craft of making films, right? Monkey Man is exciting, bloody, and impressive, and is an impressive entree by Patel into the role of director. So more, as you can see, it's like, is there any bad reviews in here? Let's see if we can find one. And who's it going to be from? Let me guess. It's going to be from Matt Donato, isn't it? I respect the guy's opinion, but my God, are we most of the time at different ends of the spectrum? Anyway, if you've ever seen my review for the first Omen, you know what I'm talking about. On the other hand, the way Monkey Man all but fetishizes extreme violence raises the suspicion that the other stuff is just an excuse for him to unleash his inner Bruce Lee. Well, no, you just weren't paying attention to the spiritual side of things, about the roots and going into the earth. And there's a great line here from Vipin where it's kind of like he's like giving him some root kind of like thing where it makes him like internalize his inner demons, and he says a really awesome line where it's kind of like, you'll know it's done when you finish feeling pain, kind of thing, right? Anyway, yeah, it's got some good dialogue in it. Although it's a well-made film for the genre, the relentless violence, brutality, and mayhem are so disturbing I can't recommend it. Well, then you definitely won't like movies like The First Omen, or you definitely won't like Immaculate if you don't like disturbing violence. Because Immaculate, oh boy. And that's something that The First Omen really didn't have. It didn't have that, oh boy. I guess maybe it tried to with human body parts, but anyway. I want to find another one who didn't like it. Well, there's two right there, James. All right, last one who didn't like it. Monkey Man is great at tone, evoking a scuzzy and corrupt underworld brilliantly, but often that vibe is all it has, an exercise in style over substance. Hmm. That's an interesting take. Style over substance. But there is style. Yeah, there's style, but there's also substance. The substance didn't quite, I guess, work for you. I enjoyed it, and it's not a movie that I'm going to rush out and revisit it. But if it was on Netflix or like one of the streaming services again, I would totally watch this. But as I said, don't expect it to be all the way like John Wick. If you go into it wanting it to be John Wick, then you may get let down by the second half of the movie. But I respected it and I liked it. So finishing up my movie review for it, I would have to finish by saying that the watchability factor, if you're a Dev Patel fan, it's there. If you like the trailers, check it out. 7.5. Would I own it on Blu-ray? No. 7.5 for Monkey Man. I'll be. Oh, you know what? I am going to give score. I'm going to give score full point because it's got some really interesting needle drops in it, and I think that's where we're going to get this because 8 out of 10 is that's where I want to land. There's some interesting needle drops in here where you'd be like, that's very effective. That works here. I dig it. And it does it more than a couple times, guys. So good soundtrack and good use of the score to get you in. Does it have a few things in here that'll make you go, well, that's a staph infection. And then they don't address that. So there's a few minor kind of, or how did I phrase it for the first Omen review? Where there's like some physical, logical inconsistency. But it's kind of like, if it happened more than once, you'd be like, okay, guys, I'm not buying it. But because it only happens like maybe once or twice is pushing it. Just that one staph infection scene, you can forgive it because it's got so many other good things going for it. It doesn't get bogged down by too many of them. Wait a minute, what are you doing here? Yeah. So Monkey Man, thumbs up, 8 out of 10. Have you guys seen it? Then let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you like what you've seen, and you want to see me totally tear a new one for the first Omen, I just published my review for that. That's up on the channel right now. And it goes on, guys. I rant. Monkey Man is the better film. So, if you like this kind of stuff, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time right here on Beer Domains. All right, so that's my review stuff. Because there's no show tomorrow, I thought we would go into the box office report. Because it's been published. Let's pull up some live comments here. Live chat. I got Home Alone vibes from Abigail, so I get the cheesy schlocky angle. Do you guys give up, or are you thirsty for more? Yeah, and there's another one from Catherine Newton that sounded like that's very clunky dialogue. But because Catherine Newton is a really good actress, like, I didn't like Lisa Frankenstein, but she was the best part of it because she was trying, and she did deliver some really bad dialogue in Lisa Frankenstein. So, and Catherine Newton's going to be fine. She's got the talent, she's got the chops, and she's going to break through. So normally on Mondays we would go through the box office report. Because I can't come on tomorrow, we'll be doing it now. Let's take a look for the weekend of April 5th to the 7th, weekend 14 already, 2024. The top 5 go: Godzilla, The New Empire, number 1. Monkey Man debuts at number 2. What? Frozen Empire is number 3, and The First Omen is number 4. I thought First Omen was going to be number 3. That's really shocking. And Kung Fu Panda beats Doom Part 2 to take the 5th spot. So Doom Part 2 drops out of the top 5. Fascinating. We'll briefly touch on this, guys. Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, retains the number 1 spot. For a worldwide total of 361 million, and on a budget of like 100 and what was the budget for Godzilla X Kong? It wasn't that much, right? It wasn't as high as 200 million, was it? 135. That's right, 135 million. So it's profit. It's definitely making profit now, and we will get another one, which is fine by me. Two Godzilla movies in like the last 6 months, and both different styles, different executions, and both are good. I like them both. Now, is Godzilla X Kong a masterpiece? Will it be in contention for an Oscar like Godzilla Minus One? No, but as I said, you rate it on a different scale. It's a big win for Adam Wingard. Adam Wingard started out making $2,000 movies in his backyard, and now he's in charge of Godzilla. So it just goes to people like me to say, James, start making your shorts. Start making your short movies, James. Get them out there. You know what you're doing. Yeah, your first movie's not going to be all that good, but be like Adam Wingard. Start honing your skills and get ready to drive the big machine if you ever get the chance. Right? Because that's inspiring. You just take your cameras, go out and shoot it, learn techniques. That's cool. Massive achievement. Gotta be proud. Kudos. So, Monkey Man, Dev Patel's new film, 10.1 million opening for a worldwide total of 17.4. Uh, whoops, no, that's the first. Jeez. Monkey Man, 10.1 domestic, 2 internationally, so 12.7 worldwide. Now, this movie had a budget of around 10 million, so it's made its production budget back. But marketing, I hear that this movie had a bit of a production problem getting through because at one point I think I heard that Dev Patel injured himself on set, and then some of the producers were going to be trying to take it away from him, so he had to fight to retain it. And there was some angle about it where that's when Jordan Peele kind of said, "No, guys, he's going to, he went to bat for him," kind of thing, right? So there was some behind the scenes stuff. So uh, sure, um, I hope that for the most part, I think we looked at the tomato meter. People are digging Monkey Man, 87%, 83 by the fans on a budget of around 10 million. I don't see that there's lots to complain there. Uh, Civil War comes out is the only one big one coming out this coming week, so it'll push everything down a little bit. I'm just shocked that Frozen Empire retained the third spot because I thought the first Omen would have enough. I guess not. First Omen, 8.3 domestically, 9.1 internationally, worldwide 17.4 on a budget of around 30 million though. Now that probably is not quite that high. It doesn't feel like a $30 million film. It feels a little bit less than that. It feels like around 15 to 20 million, but it does have some CGI stuff towards the end. So we'll have to see how that goes. First Omen, kind of whatever. I guess it is a little bit shocking to see Doom Part 2 get pushed out at the end of the month here, though. At the end of March. No, I guess it was in the top 5 for the all of March. It's got a worldwide gross of 660. That's kudos. That's thumbs up. Chris Schober in the live chat joins us. Cool, man. He says, hey, James. Yeah, we're just talking the weekend's box office here. How did things pan out? Doom Part 2's got nothing to complain about. They are making the third one. We talked about that on the Friday show, so it's kind of like, you know how I feel about Dune Messiah. I don't know if they can follow the book exactly because of the time difference. It's like 12 years after Dune Part 2, after the first book. So, yeah, they'll change some stuff. The other new release was Someone Like You, making 3 million. That's not where it goes, James. Right there. 3 million. It hasn't been released internationally. Uh, yeah. After the tragic loss of his best friend, a grieving young architect launches a search for her secret twin sister. I watched the trailer for it. Didn't really pique my interest. If it comes out on Amazon or something, I'll probably have to pick it up there. It's just for the last couple of weeks, it's been 2 movies a week that have been coming out, and it's kind of like I can't see 3 movies in a weekend, can I? Because I'm well, self financed here, guys. I think I am starting to get hoarse, which is not good. We have been going for more than an hour, and I'm really like, hey, all the times that Biter wants me to be high energy. Oh boy, was I high energy for that first Omen review. All right, we got some other headlines here. Just some quick ones here I want to pull and we'll go through. James Gunn stops more Superman rumors faster than a speeding bullet. Okay. Uh, I am looking forward to the Superman Legacy, or Superman movie with David Cornsweet. The primary protagonist of Superman is shockingly Superman. The main villain of Superman is shockingly Lex Luthor. Yeah, that's not shocking. What are you talking about? I don't know where all this stuff is coming that it's something other than this. Oh, I guess people were speculating Brainiac or Metallo or something. I don't know. There are so many stories coming out every day, it's difficult to deal with. And every time I strike something down, I'm giving it attention. So I'll say it again. Don't believe anything unless you see it here from his social media. Okay. Well, people are just poking it. People are fishing. Uh, people, the Mike, the Mike Zeros out there are fishing with their headlines. And it's kind of like, is it true? Is it true? Here's my headline. Just confirm it. Say that it's false, or say that it's false so that we can fish with something else. Try a different type of bait, right? It's that kind of thing. That's what I get out of it. Chris Schober, I went to see the new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It's a pretty good movie. And my next movie is going to be the new, oh yeah, Chris, you'll like the new Godzilla for sure. And I also did like Frozen Empire. It wasn't for everybody though. In fact, I do have a Frozen Empire story here that I pulled. Let's talk about that. Ghostbusters star Emily Allen Lind explains her Frozen Empire character, why her character was kept secret. Yeah, she wasn't shown in the marketing for it. Uh, and what I'm going to say here, don't don't misquote or misunderstand what I'm going to say because the fact of her gender. Her storyline just wasn't sexy. It wasn't something that you could use to promote the movie and say, "Well, go check it out because of drama." And her, and I'm somebody who liked her part of the story. And when I came out of the theater and said, Frozen Empire isn't exactly the movie you think it's going to be because the trailers make it seem it's going to be about this bad ice villain with the horns kind of thing who doesn't really show up until the last 20 minutes of the film. Yeah, he's lingering there in the background, but a bulk of it is her character dealing with the main character played by what's her name? Ghostbusters Afterlife. Why am I drawing a blank on that? Let me see if I can pull that up. Grace McKenna, right? Sorry, uh, Grace McKenna. Is that? Yeah, or McKenna Grace. Sorry, McKenna Grace. Um, it's mostly about her and her story with her interactions with the ghost, played by Emily, and I like that stuff. The shades of kind of like the labyrinth of kind of like the small guy that has to betray her to make good with the bad guy, so the bad guy will stop pestering him. So it's kind of like her. She's kind of like that. She wants to do the bad guy's bidding to make good for her to move on from the afterlife kind of thing, right? So all that I found very fascinating. It just that stuff wouldn't have sold the movie because you think no, it's Ghostbusters. I want to see them take on ghosts and use their proton packs. I don't want to see her sitting around for half an hour talking to a ghost playing chess. But it's kind of like, well, that's what happened, and I didn't mind it. I liked it, so that's why I think. Oh yeah, there she is right there. And I thought both of them actually did a fairly good job. Um, Man, next, let's talk some Star Wars. Because Chris Schober said something there. They just released Star Wars new TV series called Tales of the Empire Trilogy. Oh, that I'm not. I'm not really all that interested in the animated stuff. Uh, One day, because Clone Wars is like 120 something episodes. One day I'll try to burn through it all. I don't think we'll do live watch-alongs because I'll want to watch it with uh with the fast forward button. I don't have my TV remote here. With the two times speed kind of thing. It's like okay, kind of thing. Right? I don't know. Um, let's talk some Star Wars though here. Argyle says people have forgot that James Gunn has moved to DC and leave all the character cameo speculation to Marvel. Yeah, we're talking about that Superman stuff. Yeah, yep. So let's talk some Star Wars headlines. This came out like last week, 4 or 5 days ago, or something like that. I just want to quickly address this now. Star Wars Bo William on to co-write James Mangold's movie that will feature the origin or oranges of the Force, as some would say, oranges. Um, okay. Uh, he did House of Cards, fine. Dawn of the Jedi. So this will be like set 25,000 years before like the prequels, Dawn of the Jedi. Uh, Fine. Just don't botch it. As I said, this is why I'll always say they need to sit down and formulate a Bible of what the Force is, what it can do, and what it can't do. Because what somebody shouldn't be able to do with Star Wars is come in and totally reinvent it, right? Um, and it's kind of a shame that you've got George Lucas. He's still alive. Pick his brain. You don't have to like all the political stuff, but if it's done well, like with Andor, and I like the prequels too, that's what makes it fascinating. That's what makes it Star Wars. Uh, anyway, um, what I don't want to see uh, is them kind of reimagining what the Force is for this. Uh, but there's an interesting idea in there of kind of like the formation of the Jedi kind of thing, right? Um, and it not necessarily has to start off with like lightsabers and Sith kind of stuff. I would say there's an interesting idea of somebody just in society discovering telekinesis, the, moving stuff with your mind, like what the Jedi can do. And then somebody's like, I just moved that with my mind. There's a story there that of them trying to develop that as a skill, right? And then as they uncover that ability, you have other people with uh, foresight, uh, you know, uh, clairvoyance, and they try to marry the two, develop it as a like an art form. And as they slowly do that, they one of them or some of them will get consumed by more. I want more. And that desire to want more is the dark side, right? So there's some interesting ideas that could be there, just as long as they don't say all of a sudden that that midichlorian stuff is BS. Because a lot of people just don't understand what the midichlorians are, and that comes um, if you listen to somebody. "Well, that's not how the force works." Well, that's not. Everybody has the ability to use the force. The midichlorians are everywhere, guys. They're in everyone. They're in everybody. It's just some people have more of them. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, and that stuff was all set up for what George Lucas's sequel trilogy was going to be about with the wills, and that's something that I want to see. Are they going to address the wills in the first Star Wars Origins of the Force kind of thing? Because you would think that the wills would be in there, right? Arglass Viking says something about the acolyte. Let's just see how the acolyte performs. Let's talk about it. Because something was brought to my attentions. I didn't hate the trailer for it, but it didn't make me also go, wow, I want to check that out. The Acolyte showrunner dishes on the gap between Disney Plus series and the Star Wars prequels. Leslie Headland is interested in exploring the Jedi's timeline leading up to the Phantom Menace. Because this only happens like, was it 50 years before Phantom Menace? Or is it 100 years before Phantom Menace? It's not that far. It's not in, it's like high, they say High Republic, which should be like 500 years before. But people have been calling out right in Phantom Menace. It says 1,000 years. The Sith have been extinct. Anyway, I hope they address that in the series. And if they don't address it, and they just say, "Well, there's a Sith Lord that was running around only 50 years ago," people are going to cry foul. So let's see what was said to Empire Magazine. Quote: "I was very interested in how the Jedi get to where they are in the Phantom Menace. You've definitely you're definitely getting a sense that the Jedi, the writing may be on the wall. The quote unquote war of the Star Wars is much smaller, more personal, a more personal one. The war between people and the war between characters." Well, that's not what Star Wars, that's not what the prequels were talking about. um, the prequels, like, everybody assumed, like, this this is the telltale sign that a lot of people just didn't understand the prequels and what George was doing with them. A lot of people assume that, well, Jedi are the good guys and the Sith are the bad guys. Well, yeah, the Sith are the bad guys, but the Jedi are just as culpable for the fall of the Republic as Palpatine was. Like, and a lot of it, and I know it. A lot of people don't want me to like to say it, but Yoda personally is responsible. He's culpable. He knew that Anakin was, you know, dicey on dicey waters. So he should have been mentoring him personally. But Obi-Wan was a master, James. He could have done it too. Well, Mace Windu, Yoda should have all been had a hand on uh, the training of Anakin right from the start. So that's the part that and George made that apparent with scenes where Yoda wouldn't pay attention to it, where Yoda was like, "You're too old. I don't want you to train." "Okay, I'll let you train. I'm going to let you train them all by yourself, even though you just ascended to a Jedi Knight in the first movie." Um, like, maybe we should give Anakin to another full master who's had a couple of Padawans under his belt first, right? A lot of people just don't realize that Yoda, yeah, he's not as all powerful and all seeing as what you thought that he was supposed to be, and it's heartbreaking. And that's sort of what I liked about the prequels. But anyway, the only other thing that I want to address here is, and this will upset some people, is Carrie Ann Moss I want to see. I want her to be the main character of the acolyte, like the training mentor, training the. Because I thought it was going to be about, one Jedi Padawan versus like a Sith apprentice kind of thing, right? Apparently, that's not sort of what it's about. Apparently, there is a Sith running around, or there is like a dark side user that makes it so that she's only in the first episode. And if that happens, yeah, uh, the fallout of that is going to be. I don't. It's not going to be good for us fans because uh, Lucasfilm will be kind of like, well, we thought we were being creative by trying to do something new. Well, this is why you need that Bible, guys, of what the Force can and cannot do. You can't write a Star Wars movie in the universe until you read and understand that Bible, right? Yeah. No, I want it so that in my movie, lightsabers change color due to their sensitivity of the Force. Like, no, that's not how those crystals work. Because they were going to go down that road. They were going to go down that road. Anyway, let's move on to the next story because I am starting to lose my voice here, which is not good. Fallout receives warm reception at Con series premiere with Ella Purnell and Kyle MacLachlan. Cool, man. Kyle MacLachlan. He's always a good character. Uh, he always does these press tours. As I said, guys, this Thursday is when Fallout drops, right? So, because I'm going to be in Toronto, I we will get to Fallout this weekend. We'll binge through it all. Everybody else out there will be binging through it, so we will binge through Fallout. I am curious about it. Director Jonathan Nolan and Aaron Moten, hit video game franchise, coming this week, guys. So I'm hoping that it's good. I'm hoping that it's good. Oh yeah, Sasha Baron Cohen and Isla Fisher announced that, well, not that they're divorcing. Apparently, they divorced like a year ago, or at least they've been separated for a year. So if you were crushing on Isla Fisher, this is the time for you to make your move. Well, we already did that story. Is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. All right. So as I said, we're not going to. I have to edit something out of our Reacher reaction that was up earlier today, but we will. It'll be up tomorrow for everybody. Um, Something else that's happening tomorrow. One more thing. The Maxine trailer from A24, the third movie in the X Pearl series. Mia Goth was going to drop on Monday. We had fun watching X here on the channel, didn't we? Yeah. And I'm looking forward to this, the third installment. She goes to Hollywood to try to become a star. Yeah. Uh, it's just a really surprising little horror trilogy here by Ty West. David Cornsweet in Pearl. The new Superman gets butchered by Pearl by Mia Goth. Yeah. Hey, where's Pearl? What's Pearl streaming on right now? That one may be hard to do a reaction to, but we should, just so that we can say that we, as a completionist here. Or did I already react to it? I can't remember. I've seen it a couple times already, though, because it's just Mia Goth is so good in it. What's it streaming on? Is it on Prime? It's saying that it's on Prime. Hold on here. Let me pull up my Amazon. Pearl? It is there. All right. Huh. What's this? Lady Macbeth, 2017. Huh. Pearl's on Prime, huh? Maybe we can watch that. If I ever get time, enough time. Hi. Chris Shower says Winnie the Pooh, Bambi, Tinker Bell, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, and Tigger. Pooh universe. Yeah, we talked about that on, was it Thursday's show? Last week we talked about that, the Pooh universe, about the Bambi trailer. And we'll have to see how that unfolds. We're just having fun here. So, guys, I think that's pretty much it for me today. I'll cut out those reviews and put them up separately from this show. I'll redo the thumbnail for this one. Um, just seeing if there's anything here that jumps out at me. New Challengers teaser. I'm gonna watch it simply because of Zendaya. The thruple concept doesn't really intrigue me, but I'll see. You know, they love each other in the beginning, they hate each other by the end, kind of thing. Yeah. His three daughters, Elizabeth Olsen, Carrie Coon, and Natasha Lyonne, debuts on Netflix November 1st. Those are pretty good actresses right there. My Scarlet Witch. Yeah, they did Wanda dirty. First trailer for Maxine debuts tomorrow. Yeah, we know that. Anything here that jumps off the page? Romeo and Juliet on Broadway. Yeah. Paul Mescal with Charlotte Wells. Zendaya. All right. So just a bunch of people at parties and stuff. Okay. Thank you very much for joining me today, guys. We had lots of fun. We'll see you Tuesday for more Reacher. We're going to wrap up that series, guys. Yeah, lots of fun. So, yeah, Chris Art Glass says, cool, James, catch the next Reacher during the week. Enjoy the curling in Toronto. Yeah, thank you very much. And happy Sunday, everybody. Don't stare too long at the eclipse tomorrow if you can see it. Um, I've seen it before. Just watch it on YouTube and watch an actual camera designed to do it. You're going to see it much better than you can burning your eyes out. That's the way I feel about it. All right. My voice is done. Have a good night, guys.